What's up, guys? We are here for stage 1 of the Zwift games. I just want to say right at the start, I had a graphical glitch in Zwift today, and if you have epilepsy, it might cause problems for you. And even if you don't, it's just not very pleasant. So I'll put some timestamps in the description here for various parts of the video, like I usually do. But I'll also note when the last time it happens is. If you're the most dedicated viewer, you can watch all the way through, but everyone else might just want to skip ahead to that point. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, stage 1 of the Zwift games. We finished up the Tour de Zwift last week on a high note, and today we have the Zwift games. So it's the Zwift games, the first couple, it basically gets longer as you go, longer and harder as you go. So the first one is mostly a sprint, and we start seeing the graphical issue here. I'll explain that in a little bit. The first one is more of a sprint. Second one's kind of sprinty. Third one's a little bit more rolling. And then the last two are longer. So we'll pull up the stage profile here. And you can see here, mostly flat at the start, a little bit of a bump. One one bump here, longer climb, hill maybe, here, and then down, and then one little kicker here right near the end, and then we sprint at the finish. So I didn't really have I guess we'll talk about the graphical video issue. There's one helmet maybe, or a hairstyle or something that causes this issue for me. I've run into it on like group rides in the past. I haven't run into it in a race before, but I did like try reinstalling my drivers, and it didn't fix it, my graphics drivers. But after the race today, because this was just so annoying, I reinstalled Zwift altogether. So hopefully that fixes it for next week. I don't have that issue again. But as you can see, I was almost like riding blind here. Like I couldn't see like any, for a lot of the parts, I couldn't really see anything that was going on in front of me. So I was doing a lot of the racing based off the mini map here. So as I said, stage profile, flat, hill, flat, downhill, kicker, finish. So my goal, I didn't really have power targets because the hills are not that steep, so I didn't really have power targets for that. My goal was just to hold on to the front group and then try to sprint at the end. Some other things to note about this race is there was only one power up for the whole race. So we got the feather at the start. You don't get any more at the end. So my hope was don't have to use the power up on the first hill, can use it on that kicker at the end, and be able to save a little bit of energy there. Other than that, we have seen a similar route in the first stage of the Tour de Zwift, where we did this same Pain Cavern climb. So another goal of mine was just to do better on the Pain Cavern than we did last time. Last time it was near the end of the race though, so this time it's near the start. Last time we had done one other hill in the middle, and it was near the end of a stage that was the longer too. So this one was like 17 kilometers, I think, and the last one was like 17 miles maybe. So it was significantly longer. So here we are, first hill, just trying to stay in the first group and stay under control. And this was one of the parts where not being able to see was really annoying. Because I thought I was near the front. You don't want to be in the very front though. So I'm like right here. I'm like, how should I be pacing this? It was so annoying. But I was just trying to look at that mini map in the top right. You can see some people already popped their feathers here. I'm at 180 BPM, but I honestly felt pretty under control at this point, so I was not gonna pop my feather. Just trying to stay near the front here, making sure I'm in a good spot for where it flattens out here. There's a little bit of a draft. So another thing was, I'll talk about it after the climb. So there, we finally dropped all the helmet people. I thought, I'm in the clear. That person will stay behind me. Nope, they're coming back. I was like, I was so excited that I would not have to deal with this for the rest of the race. Unfortunately, as it turns out, the climb was not selective enough that it was a tiny group all the way to the end. It ended up being a pretty large group. And there were, in fact, people with the hairdo issue. So the graphics issue persisted here. So this was the steepest part of the climb, so I did try to stand up here, power through it, and then after that it levels out a little bit. And here, like I said, heart rate's in the 180s, but I didn't feel like I was on the limit. I wasn't going to chase Kaze loop here. Case Loop was about the only familiar name I saw today. So we were 1 hour later than last week because Zwift switched up when the categories were. There was either I could do the noon one or the 10 o'clock one. I decided to do the noon one because I wanted to watch the Brentford match. They got blown out. Well, I didn't get blown out. They lost 2-0. It was very frustrating. The first goal was kind of lucky on their part, but skillful. And then the second goal was really, really poor on the Brentford defender's part. And then had a lot of good chances, but couldn't get anything done. Sometimes it'd be like that. Anyway, we're finishing up here the climb. It was tough, but it wasn't crazy. I was definitely tired at the end of it, so I was hoping that we would chill out a little bit here. But I didn't feel like I said, I was able to save my feather there, so I was feeling pretty good. At this point, I was like, okay, I'll have my feather for the final kicker, and we'll see what happens. And as we know from the past, my goal is to do the sprint and win from there. So this part here, just trying to get a sense on how many people there are, and not do any work on the front here again, but unfortunately, our graphics glitch friend is back, and it was very difficult to see what was happening. But just trying to keep it going from the mini-map. One thing I've noticed is you do have to be fairly close to the person for it to happen. So I was like, maybe I try to drop back towards the back of the pack, and maybe I get out of range of the issue. But the pack was so like condensed together that it was difficult to do that, and I didn't want to like risk anything silly where I'm too far back and there's somehow separation and I miss the move, I have to chase it back myself. So I was like, you know what, I'll just deal with it. I don't really need to watch this that closely in this section where it's mostly flat. I can pay attention to the mini map and just try to get my heart rate under control, which is actually going pretty well. We're back down from the mid 180s to the 170s, and I think we even get a little bit lower than that. Yeah, we can see it down to the 160s. It is definitely grouping back up a little bit. There were two groups that came together here, so we're at about, I would say 35-ish people, 35 to 40, down from the original 103. So I guess more selective than I thought initially, but still a fairly large group. And again, I was not going to do any work on the front in this. Just trying to chill, because the long sustained efforts are not my strength. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, talking about time selection. So there was the 12 o'clock or the 10 o'clock, and then I had also thought about doing a Thursday. If I was going to go out today, I ended up going outside on Wednesday because I thought today was going to be too cold and cloudy. It was actually pretty nice. I could have gone out today and raced on Thursday, but the Thursday race time slot I was looking at was actually a lot less people. So I like doing the bigger races. I'm not too mad about my decision. Continue to go along here. I guess the later flat part turns into like dust at some point. Gravel. So it's a little bit more rolling resistance. So I expected the effort to go up a little bit here. We were like super chilling here at 163 BPM. Really pretty recovered at this point. Drinking no problem. What else? I didn't really do any specific practice for this. Like we did sprint practice for last week. I just had normal training sessions this week. One kind of sweet spot-ish session, the outside ride, and then Thursday I took it pretty easy, and Friday was off. Coming forward, yeah, nothing really to talk about here. Like I said, Case Loop was the only name I recognized. Some of the other people that I raced against last week, a few of them went in the 10 o'clock slot. They went 1 hour earlier rather than 1 hour later. So I wasn't really sure who to look out for. Plus, like, I think a lot of the times when they do these series, like, new people sign up for the start of the series and they don't end up doing the end of them. So a lot of new people here. In the Tour de Zwift, there were a lot more entrants in the first 2 weeks than the last 4. So hopefully we recognize some names if we keep doing this time slot going forward. We'll see. So yeah, you can see here the dust. We're in the gravel part, and the effort does start going up. And I do see it starting to string out a little bit here. I see like one guy going off the front, and it's definitely stringing out more. So I'm like, all right, got to put some effort down. I don't want anything silly to happen here. I don't want there like be a split that I'm behind and have to chase up, especially because we're coming up to the downhill. And I know like in the downhill section, I'm not going to be able to make up a big difference without having to make up spend a lot of effort. And then this part really frustrated me because I left one glitch person behind, and then it turned out there was one more glitch person in front of them. So I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be rid of them. But anyway, so that was a little bit of a stronger effort, but it was measured. It was short. It was like a minute, not too bad. And then we're back around maybe just a little bit below threshold, keeping things under control. It's a little bit rolling in this section. You can't quite see it from the graphic here, but it's just a little bit up and down, a little bit on like the wood boardwalks and the gravel, which is higher rolling resistance. So definitely need to pay attention here and make sure I didn't get dropped before we start the downhill. Unfortunately, ended up like right on the front almost at some points, just from not being able to see what I'm doing. But that's just the way it was with today. Like I said, hopefully the reinstall fixes it so we don't have to run into that in the future, because it was very frustrating. Like especially here, like on the downhill, I don't want to like go too easy and go way off the back, but I don't want to be on the front. Very, very frustrating. So I tried like finding a different camera view to see if that would fix it. Nope. Yeah, this didn't fix it. Third person short didn't fix it. I was like, you know what, whatever. We'll just go back to the original and deal with it. One guy says go faster. I'm not in any interest to go faster downhill. We're at this point we're trying to save energy for that final kicker, making sure we stay hydrated. And yeah, so I guess at this point my plan was to hit the power up on the. So I knew going into the kicker there's one little like tiny little bump on a gravel section, and then the hill itself. So I was going to try to stay strong there, make sure I don't lose contact with the group up front, and then hopefully we come back together on the descent and then sprint it out at the finish. But we'll see how it goes. Almost to the bottom of the descent here. Still a very large group. I think maybe there was a small split at one point on the winding gravel section there, but we still have 30, I think, out of the original 35 to 40, so not too many people dropped there. And we're coming up into the final right turn here. Get that last drink of water. So yeah, unfortunately, like I had these like visual cues I was planning to look for. Couldn't really see them, but I remembered generally where they were on the mini map right here. So I start ramping it up just a little bit. I want to be near the front when that first little bump hits. Sustain a little bit of pressure over it, and then the climb is where it does that little loop there on the mini map. So yeah, here's that little bump. Sustain some pressure. Come up right near the front. Make sure nobody goes away from me right there. And then here we go into the climb. So it's like 1 minute effort. I maybe even went a little bit too easy at the start. These guys got away from me a little bit, but ramp it up and start pushing, and ideally come out of this near the front, and we'll see how that goes. Push, push, push. Kaze loop up near the front, our old rival, and then this guy in front of me, R. Boni. I don't know how to pronounce that with the umlaut, but this guy was a monster. Here I am, 7 watts per kilo, like for a minute, and he's riding away. I'm like, okay, surely he has to chill out now. Because I'm chilling out, I'm waiting for the people behind me, and then I realized, oh no, I forgot to use my power up. I might as well save it for the finish at this point. I'm definitely not going to use it in the downhill, but this guy in front, still at 5 watts per kilo, he holds that all the way to the end. So it's like, I'm not going to chase. I don't have the strength to chase that guy down. I'm just going to sit in this guy's wheel. A couple people behind are going to catch up. I need to make sure I don't go too easy so that these guys don't roll past me in a way. And then from this group of 5, we'll sprint it out for the finish. Because we're not catching the guy in front. He's too strong. So we're coming around, and I have my feather for the finish. I'm like, okay, go ahead, we'll pop it now. It's going to last all the way to the finish. And start the sprint right here. Nobody else really went too hard on the sprint. A-Way kind of did, but he was still 10 meters behind, so I was able to sit down and sort of coast to the finish there. So second place, still pretty good. Second place out of over 100. Can't be too mad about that. The guy who came in first was just really, really strong. I think he got promoted. If we can look at his racing score, he got promoted like 50 racing points, so he'll definitely be in category C next time. Sometimes that happens in Zwift. People come back from not racing for a long time, they're way stronger, and they're unfortunately in the wrong category. But he definitely earned it. He was a very, very strong rider. We can see in the results here. Yeah, so he was near the top of the category already, and he got a big promotion, so he'll definitely be in category at least upper C next time, if not lower B. But for us, predicted to be in 21st and ended up in 2nd, so very good again. Definitely, except for forgetting to use my feather power up on that kicker there, I would say it went pretty well to plan. Couldn't do anything about that one guy riding away. He was just way too strong. Even if I had used the feather power up there and like I was with him at the top, I think he still would have dropped me on the descent, because I could not sustain what he did all the way to the finish, I don't think. And then you'll notice here we're at 383, so the top of this category that we've been racing in is at 389. So if we have another good result next week, we're gonna have to go into the upper C category, C plus instead of C minus, and that would definitely be a wake-up call, I would say. We will be near the bottom of the pack for that, especially because the next Zwift games, as it goes along, it gets harder and harder. We'll see, but hopefully we get stronger and stronger, and we have been getting stronger. We can look at this right here, our ride analysis, and we have new season bests and new all-time bests really for everything from 3 minutes up to 20 minutes. Really strong overall. I am feeling a lot stronger, and it's not just the new bike thing, because I was, if we look at like a 3-minute effort, so we compare 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes at 259 watts for 180 bpm. It's not just the trainer, because here we are with the power pedals from outside, 4 minutes at 230 watts and only 165 bpm. So I would say that's about proportional, and it's not just the calibration of the trainer that was wrong, because I mean, these are definitely a lot stronger than the 2 months beforehand. We can look at here's the Pain Cavern climb, which we did 7 weeks ago, is that right? 10th of January compared to 21st of February, so yeah. And we were almost 2 minutes faster on that. So definitely getting a lot stronger, feeling a lot stronger, which is what you're hoping for. 2nd place, good result. We'll see how it goes next week. Next week is the Hudson Hustle in New York. Like I said, it's a little bit longer, a little bit rollier. No sustained climbs as long as there was this week. So maybe it's good for me. The ones in the past have been fewer, shorter, steeper climbs. So we'll see how it goes. Optimistic about it. We're going to be right at the top of the category. And hopefully we can do well. I'm just not sure when I'm going to do it, because the new WoW expansion early releases on Thursday evening at like 6 p.m. for me. So I don't know if I'm going to do a Thursday race earlier a little bit, or maybe I'll try the Monday one that's like right away, like right when it opens on the midday Monday. That's going to be a huge one. Or Saturday just after the expansion launches, because it's early releases and there's not that much to do early on, so it wouldn't be a big deal to spend an hour or two racing, or an hour racing and then 45 minutes racing and an hour making the video, showering, all that stuff. Not a big deal. So yeah, not sure exactly what time slot I'm going to do next week, but hopefully things go well, and I will see you then.